The storm I had feared was beginning to gather. At first it was only small things, subtle shifts that others might not have noticed. The way Professor Hale's gaze lingered a little too long during a lecture. The way my pulse quickened whenever his name was mentioned in casual conversation. I told myself I was being paranoid, that no one could possibly know. But paranoia had a way of becoming prophecy. One afternoon, after class, a friend of mine, Clara, leaned across the table in the campus CAF. "You've been different lately," she said, stirring her coffee with unnecessary force. Different? I tried to sound casual. Distracted. Secretive. Like you're carrying around something you can't tell anyone. She tilted her head, studying me with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Is it about someone?" My throat tightened. I forced a laugh. "Clara, you're reading too much into things. I am just stressed about finals." But her eyes lingered on me for a moment too long, as though she didn't quite believe me. And I wondered, did I look as transparent as I felt? The weight of secrecy began to erode me. At night, I lay awake listening to the wind rattle the windows, my body torn between craving him and fearing what would happen if we were discovered. Each text message from him sent a rush of adrenaline through me, followed by the ache of knowing I had to delete it instantly. One message, in particular, stayed burned into my memory even after it was gone. "I dreamt of you last night. You were reading to me, and I didn't want to wake up." Simple. Tender. Dangerous. I wanted to keep it forever, but I couldn't. Proof was a luxury we couldn't afford. The closer we grew, the more desperate our meetings became. One evening, he invited me to his apartment for the first time. It felt like crossing an invisible boundary we had carefully avoided until then. His place was modest, filled with stacks of books, half-finished drafts scattered across the desk, and a faint scent of cedar and ink. Standing in his living room, I realized I was seeing a part of him no student was ever meant to see. The private man behind the public role. "You should be here," he said quietly, almost to himself. "Do you want me to leave?" I asked. His answer was wordless. He reached for me, pulling me close, his lips pressing against mine with urgency that left no room for hesitation. That night was different. It wasn't just stolen kisses in shadows or hurried touches in quiet corners. It was slow, deliberate, and terrifyingly real. It was the night I stopped pretending this was just an infatuation. When I finally left, long past midnight, he walked me to the door, his expression unreadable. Before I stepped into the cold night air, he whispered, "I don't know how much longer I can balance this. I am breaking apart." And yet, the next day in class, he stood at the front of the room as calm and composed as ever. To everyone else, he was Professor Hale, the brilliant lecturer. To me, he was something entirely different, and that difference was eating us alive. The danger escalated when Clara confronted me again. It was late, and we were walking back to the dorms after a night out. The campus was quiet, our footsteps echoing against the pavement. Suddenly, she stopped and grabbed my arm. "Tell me the truth," she said. "Is it him?" My heart froze. "What are you talking about?" Her eyes narrowed. "Professor Hale. Don't play dumb with me. I see the way you look at him. And I've seen the way he looks at you." My blood ran cold. "Clara, you're imagining things." "Am I?" she challenged. "Because if I am right, you're playing with fire." I forced out a shaky laugh, shaking my head. "You've been reading too many romance novels." She didn't look convinced. But she let it go, for now. I couldn't breathe for hours after. The next time I saw him, I told him what had happened. We were in his apartment again, the curtains drawn tight against the world outside. He listened in silence, his jaw tight, his hands clenched into fists. "We have to stop," he said finally, his voice rough. The words struck me like a blade. "No," I whispered. Don't say that. He looked at me with eyes full of torment. If someone suspects, even one person, it's only a matter of time before it spreads. My job, my reputation, everything. And you'd be dragged into it too. You'd be labeled, judged, maybe even expelled. I shook my head violently, tears spilling over. I don't care. None of that matters. What matters is this, what we have. His hands trembled as he cupped my face. It should matter. You deserve more than stolen moments and constant fear. Then why can't you let me go? I asked, my voice breaking. His silence was answer enough. The truth was, neither of us had the strength to end it. So we continued, more careful than ever, but also more reckless in our need for each other. Every meeting carried risk. Every glance in public felt like a knife's edge. But the fear only made the desire sharper. It was no longer just a forbidden romance, it was an addiction. One I couldn't imagine surviving without. And yet, somewhere deep inside, I knew Clara was right. I was playing with fire. And sooner or later, fire always burns. The final weeks of the semester felt like walking a tightrope. Every lecture, every hallway encounter, every accidental brush of his hand against mine was laced with the possibility of disaster. My heart leapt at every knock on his office door, every flicker of suspicion in a classmate's eyes. The secret had grown too big to carry silently. It pulsed between us, heavy and undeniable. And Clara's watchful gaze never left me. One night, after another stolen hour at his apartment, I returned to the dorm to find her waiting in the corridor. Arms folded, expression sharp. "Where were you?" she asked. I froze. My hair was still damp from the shower I'd taken at his place. I could smell his cologne lingering faintly on my scarf. "I was at the library," I lied. Her eyes narrowed. "Do you think I am stupid?" I said nothing. She stepped closer, her voice low. "If you care about him, even a little, you'll stop. Because if I've figured it out, others will too. And then it's not just you who'll be destroyed. It'll be him." Her words cut deeper than I wanted to admit. But instead of thanking her for the warning, I turned away, locking myself in my room and pressing my hands to my face. My chest ached with a truth I couldn't tell anyone. The next morning, Professor Hale was different. His voice was steady, his gestures precise, but his eyes didn't meet mine once during the lecture. It was as if I had ceased to exist. I sat frozen, trying to focus on his words, but my mind raced. Had Clara spoken to him? Had someone else noticed? Or was this his way of severing the connection before it was too late? When class ended, I lingered. Students filed out, the shuffle of feet echoing down the corridor. Finally, it was just the two of us. I approached his desk slowly, my heart in my throat. "You didn't look at me once," I whispered. His jaw tightened. He stacked papers with deliberate care, avoiding my gaze. "We can't keep doing this." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. "So that's it? After everything?" He finally looked at me then, and the torment in his eyes nearly undid me. "Don't you see? If I lose my job, if you lose your place here, what do we have left? Nothing. You deserve a future. A clean one. And what about you?" I asked, my voice trembling. His silence was unbearable. Then, quietly, he said, "I'll survive. I always have." I shook my head, anger and grief rising like a tide. Surviving isn't living. I left before the tears could fall. For days, we didn't speak. The silence was agony, worse than the fear of discovery. I told myself it was over, that I would bury this love in the deepest corner of myself. And yet, every time I saw him in the hall, my chest tightened, and I knew the truth, it wasn't over. It never would be. The breaking point came at the end of term celebration. The English department hosted it every year, a formal gathering with professors and students mingling over wine and polite conversation. I told myself I wouldn't go. But of course I did. The hall was warm, buzzing with laughter and the clinking of glasses. I spotted him across the room almost instantly. He wore a dark suit, his hair slightly tousled, and he looked maddeningly composed, as if nothing at all had ever passed between us. Our eyes met, just for a moment, and in that moment, the noise of the room faded, and it was only him and me, bound together by the secret no one else knew. Clara was nearby, watching. I felt her gaze like a blade at my back. He broke the stare first, turning to speak to another professor. I forced myself to laugh at some student's joke, though the sound felt hollow. Later, when I slipped outside for air, he was already there, standing in the shadow of the old stone wall, his tie loosened, his posture tense. "You should NT be here," he said without looking at me. "I could say the same to you." Silence. Then he turned, his eyes fierce. "Do you understand what you've done to me? I can't think straight anymore. I can't teach without wondering if someone will notice. I can't sleep without hearing your voice in my head." I stepped closer, my heart pounding. "Then stop fighting it. Just be with me." His laugh was bitter, broken. "It's not that simple." "Then make it simple," I whispered. "Choose me." For a long moment, the only sound was the rustling of leaves in the cold night air. His hand twitched, as if he wanted to reach for me but couldn't. His face was a storm, longing, fear, anger, love, all colliding at once. And then, suddenly, footsteps echoed from around the corner. Voices, drawing closer. We both froze. He stepped back into the shadows, his face hardening into the mask of the professor once again. I straightened my dress, forcing calm into my body though my pulse thundered. Two colleagues rounded the corner, laughing about something trivial, barely noticing us. They passed, and the danger was gone, but the illusion of safety had shattered. He looked at me then, his voice barely a whisper. "This will destroy us. Or save us," I whispered back. His expression was unreadable. That was the last time we spoke that night. I don't know what will happen next. Maybe Clara will tell someone. Maybe it'll slip and the secret will spill into the open. Maybe he'll choose his career over me, or maybe we'll keep chasing each other into the dark, burning until there's nothing left. All I know is this: I knew we weren't supposed to be together. But every glance from him still burns me. And though the future is uncertain, though the storm is still gathering, I can't turn away. Not yet.